Hi everybody, you're listening to the Khandaan podcast by the You Podcast team, a bi-weekly podcast revisiting the movies of Amir Khan, Salman Khan and Shahrukh Khan.
Every show we pick a random year from 3 decades of collectively 300 films the Khans have done and let our listeners vote which movie we should talk about. So it's entirely up to you.
Pick a team, make a vote, take us down nostalgia lane, punish us, or make us reassess a movie we dismissed.
We love the Khans, most of us, sometimes. And we would love for you all to be part of our Khandaan, because when it comes to the Khans in Bollywood, nothing else really matters.
So welcome to episode 4. I think I confused myself already which episode this is. But let's call it episode 4 of the Khandaan podcast. My name is Asim and I'm joined with my 2 co-hosts, Amrita and Sujoy. Hi Amrita, hi Sujoy.
Hello.
Hey.
So we're talking about Deewana, which is kind of Shahrukh's debut again, right? Right, guys? This is like, again, we've said this before, we're using Wikipedia and IMDb as tools, and IMDb has listed this as Shahrukh's first feature-length appearance. So we're going with Deewana, although we could have gone with a few other options, right?
Yes, so Shahrukh by then is already a successful TV actor, and he famously appeared in Arundhati Roy's movie, which was made for TV. It's called In Which Annie Gives It Those Ones, which I don't think anybody saw, but apparently won like a national award or something. And now, of course, everyone's watching it because it's Shahrukh's first movie. And he plays some sort of weird character where he's got this really unfortunate hairstyle and everything. But I guess in terms of actual Bollywood, this is his debut movie, although it was supposed to be Dil Aashna Hai, but I guess this got made faster, so it just came out.
And it all makes sense how it got made so fast.
I have to say, like, this is like one of those perfect examples of what happened back in the day when Bollywood was making all these movies without actually having a script. Because as we'll talk about it in a little bit, the movie itself, it literally seems as if they were making one movie in the first half and then they made like a completely different movie in the second half.
Because I was listening to a few older interviews of Shahrukh, I mean, as old as I could find them, and he was basically saying that he was very happy doing theater work and TV work, and he got a call from Hema Malini about Dil Aashna Hai, and that's what basically brought him over to Bombay to start making movies. So I do think, and apparently Deewana was the last movie he signed. So it's funny that maybe it came out early or first, or IMDb at least listed as the first movie Shahrukh was in. But I think all Chamatkar, Deewana, Dil Aashna Hai, and maybe even Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman kind of came, and even maybe King Uncle, I think, kind of were shot around the same time. But maybe Deewana is definitely the biggest hit, I would say. It had kind of the most memorable soundtrack, and he was also working with the most established commercial stars, being Rishi Kapoor and Divya Bharti. So let's just agree that Deewana is kind of the first one, and now it's been canonized because the Khandaan podcast has considered it to be his first movie. So I think this makes it official, right?
We're the establishment now, and we've decided.
We have decided.
So, Asim, like, just listening to you say those things, you know, Salman, like, there's this thing what Salman keeps saying, that Shahrukh is God's child, which kind of sounds like a diss, but actually I'm just listening to you talk, and I was like, yeah, like, if Shahrukh's life was a movie and somebody said, like, this is how the hero's life is going to play out, people would have been like, no, that's just stupid. Like, nobody, like, it never happens to anybody. Like, it's so improbable that, you know, some kid who's like doing theater in Delhi, and then Hema Malini calls him up and it's like, hey, want to be my debut movie? And then like he lands in Mumbai and he's he's just like, yeah, I'm going to do a movie with Hema Malini. And then like all these A-list directors, I mean, at that time, these people were the A-list, and they basically come to him and are like, hey, want to be in my movie? And he's like, sure. And then he ends up with like 5 movies all at once. Like, what is that? Like, it doesn't happen to anybody.
Yeah, and I think it's probably one of the reasons why people connect so much with Shahrukh more than any other Khan is that he almost seems the embodiment of people's dreams, middle class dreams in a certain way, right? And like you said, I don't think it has happened before, and I don't think it can happen again.
I think the rise to popularity of Shahrukh Khan as the actor from Delhi, the credit goes to his like immense popularity on television that he did with 4G and he was absolutely well known across the nation, and he was like the sweetheart, heartthrob, young TV actor. And the next big step for him, like the ideal or the most obvious way that he would go bigger was to do films, and Bollywood was probably looking for the next big face because as you know, what happens in Deewana is like we have Rishi Kapoor still playing the heartthrob youngster wearing sweaters in the movie, and so the replacement to that generation of actors was very much needed, and Shahrukh was there to fill that void.
Yeah, and again, it's funny because we're the Khandaan podcast, we're talking about the Khans, but there were other actors on the scene, and the other contender was, for example, Ajay Devgan, who had also made kind of a stellar big jump on screen and was immensely popular. And he also kind of fitted that, middle class kind of Londa kind of role. Like the brown leather jacket and the scruffy hair and riding motorcycles, and I think something that a lot of people connected with probably. What I also think is that compared to Amir and Salman, Shahrukh is just vastly more accomplished as an actor. And you can see that. And I think a lot of it is because he came from a theater background and he had 3-4 roles on screen, on TV already before he kind of made his leap to the big screen. But also funnily enough, when you watch Deewana, his influences are much more clear than, I don't think when I'm watching Maine Pyar Kiya or Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, I can say that Salman or Amir are influenced or copying another actor, whereas for Shahrukh, and especially in Deewana, I can definitely take out threads where he's being a bit of Dilip Kumar, he's being a bit of Rajesh Khanna, he's even being a bit of Mel Gibson. So it's just a funny kind of way that he is more talented, but on the other hand, there's also definitely threads to previous actors and previous generation and kind of a cinematic history that he incorporates, which just make him maybe special, maybe kind of, send a nostalgic vibe to the people that were watching it then, because he very quickly, he became a heartthrob of the nation, like Sujoy was saying, but B, he kind of, his career graph just shot up. Like, okay, he had these first 4 or 5 movies in 92 coming out, Deewana, Chamatkar. They were moderate hits, I would say. Deewana was a big hit. But then 93, he had Dar and Bazigar at the same year. Like, that's crazy. Neither Salman, neither Amir had that kind of thing. Shahrukh had something, it was kind of a stellar career. And it's impressive when you kind of look back on it now.
To me, like Deewana is just the perfect example of what made Shahrukh a star, in that he has, that it factor. You can just see it. Like in this movie, the first half, everybody's just snoozing their way through it. I mean, it is such a bore. It is an incredibly bad, boring piece of filmmaking. And then all of a sudden, he comes and it's like everybody just wakes up. Like you can't watch him. And he comes singing that song, Koi Na Koi Chahiye. And it's a pretty great song. But he literally lights up the screen.
He does.
Like there's so much energy, there's so much movement. There's like, you can't take your eyes off him. Like, you're just watching him. Like, and he's not like the best looking guy. Like, he's not even the best looking of the Khans, but he just comes on screen and it just comes alive. And you're like, well, that's a star right there.
Yeah.
I remember this interview by Juhi Chawla when she was, being signed by Aziz Mirza for Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman, and Juhi enters the room and Aziz Mirza is saying, "Meet the hero. This is Shahrukh Khan, and he's from TV and he's done circus and Fauji and all that." And Juhi Chawla pulled aside Aziz Mirza and she's like, "Oh, he's not really, a hero material guy. He doesn't look the way a hero does. A hero needs to be more good looking." And then they end up doing Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman, and then the rest is history. Like, so yeah, he is not the stereotypically good looking Bollywood hero that had reigned, the big screen till then. And then he comes in and just sweeps everything.
And also, like, I know that none of the three of us really like this film, and who can blame us? But in terms of Shah Rukh's career, I think Deewana had a huge influence, because I'd forgotten that there's that scene in this movie where he's, carving Kajal's name into his arm with like a knife in his bedroom. And he's got the father with whom Dalip Tahil is his father, and he's got a bit of a tension going there in that relationship. And if you see Dar, he's basically, it's the exact same scene almost, like the bedroom, like the way the bedroom's set up, and Shah Rukh carving Juhi Chawla's name, except he does it across his chest instead of his arm. And then like the distant father and like the tensions in their relationship. These are themes that you can see in Deewana that just get, the obsessive lover tag that Shah Rukh had in his early part of his career. You can kind of see it being formed in this particular movie. And I'd forgotten about that because there isn't much to remember in this movie.
I think that kind of obsessive, Junooni lover takes like it leaps into something else in Dar. So we kind of forget that in Deewana. Deewana is pretty much summed up by its soundtrack, and that's it that we remember. That's why we kind of forget what happened in Deewana in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, he did the same thing in Anjam, Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na, Dar, even, Devdas, you could say, kind of, had that kind of thing. Raat Jaane, Chahat. There's a lot of these movies. Koila, I would say, even, or Yes Boss in a softer way, where he kind of goes all out. Even Pardes, I'm just like going through the filmography, and there's so many Dil Se, where he, not about being only an obsessed lover, but like being so in love that he sacrifices everything he has, be it his physical being or his career or his family, and it just seems to be a theme that keeps coming back and back and back every time. So it's just interesting that it's something that I don't even think you could do that now. You could not have an actor play a variation of the same theme for 11, 12 movies. I just don't see that happening. But yeah.
Well, Ranbir Kapoor is trying his best.
Ranveer or Ranbir?
Ranbir.
Ranbir. What is his thing? Is it his wake up sit thing?
Yeah, the man child.
The man child. Oh, I can't figure it out. I hope some hot girl in glasses can come to help me figure it out. Shall we get into the summary of Deewana?
Sure. So, Deewana starts, like I said, it's two different movies sort of cobbled together, which is something that Bollywood used to do all throughout the 80s. And I think this is probably the last like big budget movie that I remember doing it. But it starts with Rishi Kapoor being a pop star I'm sorry, I can't even say it with a straight face. But he's a pop star, and Sushma Seth is his mom, and he's also like very rich. Like he's got like zameen jaidad from his Bap Dada kind of thing.
He's a Kuwarji, right? And I don't know what is a Kuwarji. What is a Kuwarji, by the way? I don't know that term even. Is that like a royal title?
Yeah, so he's basically some sort of minor royalty, basically.
Okay.
Like the crown prince of a province or something like that.
I don't think it's that grand. I think it's just like anyway, it's we're getting massively sidetracked over here. Basically, he's well-to-do. And he's got some sort of cousin, which is like Amrish Puri and his son Monish Bail, who is obviously rapey, as always. So they want all the stuff that Rishi owns, but Rishi goes and falls in love with Divya Bharati, who is his fan, because he's a pop star, remember? And they get married, and now I guess Amrish Puri's plans go into high gear because he needs to kill Rishi before he has children or something. I don't know. So they basically kill Rishi, and then Rishi ends up killing Monish Bail before he dies. And then Amrish Puri is about to kill Sushma Seth and Divya Bharati, but they escape and they come to Bombay to hide out in the big city. And Amrish Puri is searching for them and trying to make sure that they're actually dead, but they're hiding out. And then Shahrukh is basically a rich man's son, and he doesn't really do anything. He just like hangs out with his friends, who like weird group of friends who don't really look like they're rich. So you're like, well, what's happening here? But anyway, apparently Shahrukh is a very like egalitarian friend, so he just hangs out with anybody. And he bumps into Sushma Seth and Divya Bharati when he almost runs over Sushma Seth, and then Divya gets really mad and yells at him, and that's enough. He falls in love with her, and then he basically just stalks her everywhere, and then finds out that she's a widow and tells Sushma Seth that he wants to marry her Divya Bharati, and he thinks they're mother and daughter anyway. And then Shahrukh's dad gets really angry because apparently being a widow means that you have a loose character and you're very poor. I don't know. They seem to be living a really nice life, like they have a nice house, but Shahrukh's dad is like, no. So then Shahrukh says, I hate you and I don't want you, and I'll go start my own garage with my friends because that's a career option. But anyway.
Yeah, that requires no skill whatsoever, right? Like you can just be a garage, you just go open a garage.
I can ride a motorcycle, therefore now I'm a licensed mechanic. Yeah. And so then, and Divya Bharati marries him because Sushma Seth blackmails her into it, like emotionally blackmails her into it. But then Shahrukh is like, I married you, but now we won't have sex until you love me. And then something happens, like he has some sort of minor accident, and then she's like, oh, I love you now. So then they're like happily married now. And then, of course, Shahrukh is like walking home one day when he runs across Rishi, who is now alive. But apparently he's not an amnesiac. He's just, for some reason, he can't go home. I don't know.
He's just totally stuck in a Chandni mode. He's like Chandni second half. That's what he is, right?
Yeah. So he's just like, so I don't know, some people are trying to kill him like randomly. And Shahrukh saves him, and then Shahrukh takes him home and says, look, I found a new friend and he'll be just like your son, Ma. And then Ma looks at him and goes, my God, that is my son. And then Divya Bharati kind of figures out that, oh, that's Rishi and he's alive as well. And now everybody has like, oh no, what's happening? And then Shahrukh finds out that that's Rishi, and it's all a big mess. But then Amrish Puri tracks him down and then tries to kill Divya Bharati, and then they all fight, and then Rishi kills himself. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So this was directed by Raj Kanwar. It was actually his debut, and it was written by Sagar Sarhadi. So Raj Kamal actually had like a pretty good career, to be honest. He made like a lot of these pretty big hits, I would say. He made Daag the Fire, which was actually a hit, funnily enough. Ladla he made
Jeet.
Jeet, yes, Badal, Judai, Jaan. So quite a few, and these were all hits. Like we look back at them and we kind of laugh, but they were pretty big hits actually. And it was written by Sagar Saradi, who wrote Silsila, Kaho Na Pyar Hai, and Chandni, which is obviously the reference of Rishi Kapoor's second kind of thing. And it was also the music was composed by Nadeem Shravan. They'd had some massive hits like Ashiki and stuff like that, but this really solidified their position, kind of being as bankable composers. And Deewana was the second biggest hit of 1992, apparently, after Ladla. Is that correct? I'm trying to figure this out.
No, Beta. Not Ladla.
Is it
Beta.
Is it Beta? Let me just see. Yeah. So it was, and it's a very, very, very long movie. It's like 3 hours and 5 minutes, and it makes you feel those 3 hours and 5 minutes. Other funny tidbits. Apparently, Madhuri Dixit was considered for Divya Bharti's role, and Arman Kohli. I mean, this is kind of a famous story, right? That Arman Kohli was approached for the role of Shahrukh Khan, and he said no because he got into a fight with the producers. And that's the last thing we've heard of Arman Kohli since then, I guess, right?
Until Jani Dushman.
No, he made Jani Dushman.
Yeah. Well, people, let us know if you want to have like a Arman Kohli series after we've done with Khandaan podcast. We can do that definitely.
Yeah, we need to do an episode on just Jani Dushman.
Yeah. So, I think we want to. I mean, this movie is a mess. I did not enjoy it at all. It was a slog to get through. I don't know about you guys, but and like you said, until Shahrukh pops up, the movie is nothing. It could be, Bol Rada Bol without Juhi Chawla, which sounds like terrible, because Juhi Chawla was the only good thing in Bol Rada Bol. I don't like Rishi Kapoor. I've never liked him. I hate his sweaters. I hate his dancing. And now that I know him from social media, I hate him even more. So I hated everything about this movie, to be honest. I mean, Shahrukh, he's energetic, he's a live wire, but the role he's playing and how it's kind of around Divya and how he pursues her, how she gets shamed into marry him, because basically what the mother-in-law is saying is that you have to marry this psychopath, otherwise you might get raped by the world. That seems to be the thesis of her argument. So I had a really, really tough time connecting with this movie. I don't know about you, Sujoy. Did you? I don't even remember seeing it, honestly. This is maybe I saw half of it or just the song, but I don't remember having sit through the whole thing from beginning to the end. What about you, Sujoy?
So I watched this movie just for the podcast because I only have like faint memories of watching the songs on Chitrahar and all that. So I watched this for this podcast project, and I live tweeted it because that's the only way I could stay sane and keep notes of what stuff is happening. I had zero interest in watching this era of Rishi Kapoor. I've seen like some older pictures of older movies of his, like Bobby, obviously, and Cars, and what's the one with Poonam Dhillon and Tina Munim? Ye Wada Raha? What's that?
The one with Pardesi, the Pardesi song in it.
Not Pardesi. Ye Wada Raha. Tu Hai Wahi.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't like him, so I've never not seen him.
Yeah, but anyway, like this era of like he's way past his prime, and he's still like pushing it with his, sanskari beta and all that, and all the Kuwarji business that we were talking about. But and all the themes that have been discussed throughout this movie are just icky to the max. Like as you said, like she's been put in under social pressure to get married, and what kind of, like, to begin with, when Rishi Kapoor gets married to to Divya, she's fine with it, and it's a love marriage. But why didn't Rishi's parents or his mom come to attend the wedding? I don't know. And then, like, the second remarriage stuff, it's just, she has no say in her life at all. What was your question? Did I like this movie? No.
Amrita, by the way, I don't know about you guys, but this was the most terrible print of the movie I've seen. Like, there were moments that the faces were totally fuzzy. I couldn't even make out who was who. But, definitely compared to Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak and Maine Pyar Kiya, this movie has not deserved kind of a HD conversion, which I kind of understand. But, Amrita, what were your kind of general thoughts on Deewana? Had you seen it before?
Yes, I had. Because, like I said in the last podcast, I had a very friendly, very benevolent cable guy that used to put up everything. But I don't remember the first half at all. Like, I knew what happened with Rishi, but I don't think I paid attention to that at all. Like, I had no memory of it whatsoever when I was rewatching it. But I remembered all the Shahrukh bits, like most of it. Like, I had a pretty good memory of it, and I remembered him stalking her. I remembered the fact that she was blackmailed into marrying him. Like, all that kind of stuff I remembered. Yeah.
Oh, the exact dialogue that the Sasu Sushma said, she says is, "Agar tum uske saath shaadi nahi karoge, tum mera mara muh dekhoge."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to say, back in the 90s when this movie came out, that was probably their idea of a progressive statement. Mahan mother-in-law is telling her daughter-in-law ki nahi beta tum shaadi kar lo.
Yeah. This is liberal.
Yeah. But from where we are today, it's just maybe let her decide.
Yeah. By the way, Rishi was already 40 when Deewana came out. Divya Bharti...
Is he only 40? I thought he must be 45, 50.
Yeah, Divya Bharti was 18 when she shot this movie. And Shahrukh was 27.
Yeah.
So,
Divya Bharti's career is weird as fuck though. She's done, on her IMDb page, she's done 24 movies within the space of just 3 years, and then.
I think let's talk a bit about Divya Bharti, because I think she's a weird one, because a lot of people that started watching Bollywood later or are into the early stuff, Divya Bharti is this kind of phenomenon that happened for 2-3 years, and if you weren't around then, you might not have heard of her or even know what this was about. But Divya Bharti was a major thing. She kind of came on screen, and a lot of people when Zareen Khan came out, everybody was like, "Oh, she's like a second Katrina," or Aishwarya had a few lookalikes that were so. Divya Bharti had that kind of thing, that she was kind of a second coming of Sri Devi. Lots of people were comparing that. Oh, she looks exactly like Sri Devi, and she had a very kind of an astronomical rise within those 1-2 years. She made a ton of terrible movies, and then she died. Basically, she fell out of her apartment. I think she was or dating or married with Sajid Nadiadwala, who's a major producer still. And there seems to be a lot of kind of conspiracy theory about exactly what happened, and nobody really understands, or at least I have never been able to figure out what happened. Not that I was put on the case like Hercule Poirot or something like that, but from what I've read, I still can't figure it out. So, Amrita, I know you have a lot of thoughts about Divya Bharti, right? So maybe kick us off. What the hell is the Divya Bharti phenomenon?
So yeah, it's what you said. She was basically billed as the next Sri Devi, mainly because she kind of looked like Sri Devi a little bit, I think. But the difference between her and Sri Devi is that Sri Devi has that spark, that same spark that Shahrukh has, and Divya Bharti really doesn't have that spark. But if you read between the lines, her life is basically one of those classic Bollywood exploitation ones. She started acting at the age of 14. She did a whole bunch of blockbuster movies down south, and then they were like, the same trajectory as Sri Devi. So, she started in Telugu movies, and then she came to Bollywood, and that's basically what they did with Divya as well. Divya died in April of 1993, according to Wikipedia. And between 92 and 93, those 4 months in 93, she appeared in 14 films.
Wow.
Which is a record. Like, it hasn't been broken in Hindi cinemas yet. So she was basically signing everything. She was just working around the clock. She was 18, 19 when she died. And she was married to Sajid Nadiadwala. She ran away from home and she got married to him. And I can only imagine like that was a way of her trying to exert some kind of control over her life, because it just sounds like a nightmare from what I can see. And there's several conspiracy theories about it. The most accepted version is that she was drunk and she lost her balance and she fell. The other more sinister conspiracy theory is that Sajid Nadiadwala was like, well, now we're married, but her family was very against it and his family wasn't exactly welcoming either. And there were a lot of problems between the two of them as well, and that he somehow decided to get rid of her and pushed her off the balcony. But he wasn't on the scene, according to the witnesses, which was Nita Lulla, which was how do you pronounce her name? Is it Lulla or Lalla?
I think it must be Lulla, right? It must be the most embarrassing pronunciation.
Yeah.
who is Aishwarya Rai's favorite designer, or she used to be Aishwarya Rai's favorite designer at a point, and now they produce movies, she and her husband. But they were there in the apartment with her when it happened.
Because I remember back in the day there was a theory I'd heard that there was a party going on and Salman was there and Sanjay Dutt was there and lots of people were there and there was cocaine happening, and that's how she felt.
I don't remember anything about there being a party. As far as I remember, there were just two witnesses, and that was like Nita and her husband.
Okay. When you used to watch movies in the VHS, like Shemaru pirated VHS in the 90s, you're watching some random movie, some Ajay Devgan movie or whatever, or a Govinda movie, and then all of a sudden you get, adverts of Lehre, that there is a Lehre, VHS coming out, and it has the inside scoop of what's happening in Bollywood. And there was this section that they had edited out from Shola or Shabnam, where Khandala, the whole vast greens, and there's smoke everywhere, and Govinda is shouting Divya, Divya, and then the scene cuts to that balcony of
Oh my God.
and they actually throw down a dummy.
No way.
Oh my.
So yeah, it looks like she's committed suicide, or like she's dying in that instant. And like the next header goes like, to find out what actually happened to Divya Bharati, watch Lehre volume whatever.
Oh my God. So basically Indian media had never had any sense of shame whatsoever.
So that was the BuzzFeed of that era.
Oh God, that's terrible. That's terrible. Yeah, I mean, I have to say I was never really impressed with her. Like she did some massive, huge movies and had lots of hits, but I don't know, I just never understood the hype, to be honest. And rewatching Deewana now even, she does this kind of like, sexy baby kind of routine, which I just find horrible. I fall in love with her and all that. And plus even with Rishi being so old, he could be her dad. Like definitely you could definitely have a kid at 28 and, 22, sorry. And, it'd be 18 years old. Like that would totally make sense. It's terrible. It's horrible. It's icky. I hated it. And she was not good in this. Yeah.
I mean, Amrita, I don't know if it was you or Beth who said like you attended a talk where Rishi was addressing some sort of audience, and he was like very proudly flaunting off that he's launched so many heroines even when he was 40, and he's worked across with so many heroines, and he's launched their careers and stuff, and it was not something to be really proud of when he does work like this.
It wasn't me, so it must have been Beth. But yeah, I've heard Rishi make the same comment like many different times, where he's like constantly talking about like how he launched like so many women, and I'm just like, ugh, have some like read the room, uncle. Like, what the fuck?
Have some shame, uncle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he was terrible. This movie was terrible. I mean, I did. The one thing that I did like about it is seeing Amrish Puri more than anything. I just get happy to see him. I don't know. He's just one of those classic mythical Bollywood villains, and he spent the entirety of the second half of his career trying to take everybody's jaidat. Pretty much, that's the only obsession he had, like taking everybody's jaidat. And you know, when him and Monish Bail are together on the screen as father son, you know they're not going to be up to any good, right? This is like a good villain ki toli, you know? Yeah, so I really liked him, and I loved that one line he said. I don't know, cause after, Amrita did that awesome line reading of on the last episode of Maine Pyar Kiya, I was just taking notes of some of the dialogue, and he said this one, and I love this. He said, "Ab hoga dehshat ka nanga naach." How awesome is that? Like, and it was just about the jaidat. It was just about the inheritance. There was no reason to go nanga and nach and dehshat and all this kind of, all of this poetic flourishes were not needed, but because it was Amrish Puri, he kind of pulled it off. It was really, really scary. So yeah, I was happy to see Amrish Puri because we've seen a lot of Alok Nath. You know, Alok Nath has been in every one of these movies. Last episode when we were talking about Maine Pyar Kiya, I was telling you guys that I was starting to take notes. I take half a page of notes and I just quit because I was enjoying the movie. I have 8 pages of notes about Deewana. That just goes to show you how much this movie was annoying me.
Jesus Christ.
So, I mean, what did you guys think of the kind of the side, like supporting cast of this? Because you even have a Chuchu uncle. I don't even know what the guy's name is, but the kind of the overweight friend. He was kind of a fixture in early 90s gang Friends. And I just remember him from in Ek Ladka Ek Ladki, the Overboard remake with Salman Khan. I have seen these movies. I know them by heart.
He's also in Phool Aur Kaate, right?
Yeah, he is. And his name in that was Chuchu Uncle. So I just constantly still call him Chuchu Uncle. I don't even know what his name is. So he's in it too. So yeah, what did you guys think of the kind of the supporting roles in this movie?
I think like what Amrita says, this movie is made in 2 halves and they don't intersect in any way. Like in the first half when Rishi is in that hill station and, you know, for the concert and he meets Divya and the guest house uncle and all that, they get completely forgotten once Divya is like a widow and she's run away to Bombay and they don't even communicate or anything. So what the fuck is happening? Like was it Devin Verma and what's her name? The auntie, can't remember, but the actress's name. She's done a lot of movies in the yesteryears as well. But
Asha Sajdev, I think you're talking about.
Asha Sajdev, yeah. I mean, like, they marry off their only Bhatiji or Bhanji, and then like tata bye bye.
I think, I mean, it is, this movie is kind of, you know, set in that time. But it for me watching it is really weird because I don't understand how kind of the role of the women is in this movie, and I don't know how much it has to reflect of society at that time or society in India. I don't know, but this whole Divya Bharati's character has no sense of autonomy whatsoever. She just gets shifted from one man to the other man, and when the man is not around, she's just like she's like a hopeless lost case, and she's like in a full Sholay Vidwa mode, like her life is over. And then also she gets insulted like she's an avara and a bachchalan and a badnaam by Dalip Tahil, who's Shah Rukh's dad. So I didn't understand why a widow would be treated that way. And even she, when Shah Rukh is kind of telling her that he's in love with her, her reply is not that you're a creepy guy, I don't want anything to do with you, or I've actually never met you, you only ran over my mother-in-law with your bike and then you ran away, so I don't understand this whole declaration of love you're doing. But she actually says, kisi ki vidwa hu main. Like, I don't, like, Amrita, can you give me some context to make me understand what's going on here?
Well, it's just that, like, it seems really modern to us because it's Shah Rukh and we're used to seeing him like the way he is today. And so it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. And it wasn't. It was like 92, and we can all remember what it was like in 92 and everything. So we're like, hey, what's up? But in the context of Hindi cinema, this isn't that far out from like the 80s. Mm. So these are all like people who were working throughout the 80s, like the guy who wrote the script, the dialogues. That's why you have like dialogues like the Nanga Nach dialogue, which would be perfectly at home in the 80s. And throughout the 80s, they were making movies exactly about things like this, about like, I remember there were like all these weird, insane movies about like I can't even remember, I remember there was some kind of, like, it was like a Mogambo kind of situation, but then to show like how depraved they were, they would like kidnap the widows of the soldiers who died at the front, like whatever front this was, and then have them serve as prostitutes for this Mogambo character in like this vague like China kind of place. Like that's the kind of mentality that we are talking about in the 80s. Like those are the kind of movies that they were making, where you were just watching it and you were just like, oh, what the hell am I watching and what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's like in Kuli where they kidnap Amitabh's mother, and the villain just kidnaps her for 30 years and he's giving her electrical shock treatment to do whatever she wants. It's like, and there was another one with Mithun Chakravarti. I think it was Dance Dance or Disco Disco, where with the song Zubi Zubi Zubi. And I think it's again Amrish Puri, and he just kidnaps the mother, he kills the father, and then he keeps the mother as a sex slave for 30 years.
Ew.
I mean that's what's happening, right? They don't tell you in the movie, but obviously these guys, that's what's happening behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, that's Dance Dance, by the way.
Those are the kind of movies that they were making throughout the 80s, and especially towards the late 80s, where everybody was just like khoon pee jaunga, and like these were the kind of movies that they were making. It makes perfect sense.
And even Shah Rukh, when he kind of wants to marry Divya Bharati, he's like, माँ मुझे काजल की भीख मांग रहा हूँ, काजल की भीख मांग रहा हूँ, and then he's like, मुझे काजल दे दे माँ, मुझे काजल दे दे. Like, what is this? Like, why is the woman not involved in any of the choices around her? I found it very infuriating, and it also something that I could not connect with in any way, shape, or form. I was like, what is this? Was this acceptable ever? And apparently it was, I think this movie does push back against social mores of that time. And I do think its heart is in the right place, because probably a lot of people did think that way, that, if a girl loses her husband at 18 years old, her life is pretty much done. I imagine that was the way people used to think, right?
Yeah, I guess.
The songs were great. Let's talk about a bit of the positives, right? The songs were great in this movie, right? Even if there was a lot of terrible dancing with Rishi Kapoor, and weirdly technicolored lined white tuxedos that he was wearing. Did you guys
So I don't actually remember the Rishi Kapoor songs at all. Like I just rewatched it. I still can't remember.
It's better that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Sochenge Tumhe Pyar, like that's the song for which Kumar Sanu got the Filmfare Award. So in Sochenge Tumhe Pyar, that's the song where Rishi Kapoor is performing at his concert in the hill station. And this is the first time Divya Bharti is saying, like oddly enough, all these background dancers just hoist flags from all nations, like it's happening at a UN concert or something.
What kind of like artist is Rishi supposed to be in this movie? Like, what is this? He's playing like college concert. That's his career. Is that it? Like, because I didn't even understand it. Like, and like if he's done this, he's playing basically concert. There's no way he's not into this kind of career just to bang really young girls. Like, that's basically his whole plan, right? Like, all of these 17-year-old girls are like super fans of his, and they start obsessing about him, and he's just going from one college to the other college in small town mountain village being Kumarji. And we don't even know what a Kumarji is clearly. Is it a title? Is it what is it? How does it connect to anything? This seems like a racket to me, honestly. I think Rishi Kapoor is a hustler. That's what's happening.
Also, like Amrish Puri says, like, whatever his name is, Rishi Kapoor, why is he going and playing around music when he's almost at, marriageable age? In their Thakur Khandaan, a musical career is very much frowned upon. Because he probably knows that Rishi Kapoor is a hustler.
Yeah, yes.
It's supposed to be a callback to him in Cars, where he was like half the size that he is in this movie. Yeah.
And even like the whole village is totally okay with this 40-year-old coming into their village and seducing this 16-year-old girl, 17-year-old girl, and then making a whole song and dance in her college in front of everybody. And the whole stage, the whole college is applauding this is going on. It's really weird because even there's a scene where there seems to be some confusion when he says, I'm going back to my town, that he's going to leave her behind because he had his fun, and now he's going to leave her behind. So there's this theme of, Gaon ki Gori and Sheher ka Ladka, that kind of thing that I've seen in a few other older movies.
Ram Teri Ganga Maili.
Yeah, Ram Teri Ganga Maili, or Bol Radha Bol, to kind of come back to that one. It happens kind of a lot, and he accepts her. Rishi accepts her, and people are totally fine with it. Like 5 minutes ago, they were all like, oh, Kajal, ab tera kya hoga? What's going to happen to you now? You fell in love. And your life is done. But then he accepts her, and now everything is fine.
But anyway, coming back to the soundtrack, what is your favorite song, Asim?
I think the title track probably is my favorite song. This is not a soundtrack I have myself, or I listen to, or, I go back to revisit a lot of times. But I understand that it was a major hit as an album, and people used to play it along. I don't think it has that much, it's not a classic in a way, but it worked at the time. I like the title track a lot just because kind of, Shahrukh is wearing these like synchronized pantsuit shirt kind of combo, all in the same color. Clearly all, one piece of cloth made into a shirt, boot and pants, which I kind of thought was cool. And also this is kind of one part where Divya Bharti is kind of happy again, or, it's a dream sequence. But she...
Oh, Aisi Diwangi, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you think with the title track? Yeah, Aisi Diwangi, that's the one. Oh, you went, Deewana Tera Deewana is also the title track, maybe, okay. I hadn't thought of that, yeah. Yeah, I meant the Aisi Diwangi, yeah. So it's just kind of cool to see Divya Bharti, alive and having chemistry with somebody, because she felt really uncomfortable with Rishi Kapoor, to be honest. And, I think also just personality-wise, I think probably Rishi Kapoor and Shahrukh are very opposites, I would say, in real life. And I just felt that Divya felt comfortable with Shahrukh, be it the age or be it the kind of person he is. And that kind of chemistry came through in Aisi Diwangi. So that kind of stood out for me. What about you?
I think my favorite is Sochenge Tumhe Pyar. Not like if we forget the visuals completely, that was like epic Kumar Sanu in that period, and I just love that track a lot. How about you, Amrita?
Probably Aisi Diwangi, just because it has I have like very strong memories of it from my childhood.
Okay. I think like the cultural influence of like, for me, the pop cultural reference of the Deewana soundtrack is associated with like auto rickshaw wala still playing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I remember the most.
Yeah, it is a very auto rickshaw friendly soundtrack.
And if you remember, like Jhankar Beats, they used to release like Jhankar Beats remix version of soundtracks, and Deewana, especially Aisi Diwangi, was completely Jhankar friendly.
Yeah. I also like kind of like in that old uncle ghazal type of thing, Teri Umeed Tera Intezar.
Yeah.
I kind of, it's kind of a very old school kind of like song that uncles would sing, but maybe it's because I'm getting closer to an uncle age that I kind of like that song too. And also like that they keep a very safe distance between each other. Rishi Kapoor is holding a tree on one side of the wood and Divya Bharati is very far away from him. So that just made me a bit more comfortable about what was going on. Yeah. Even his poetry is super creepy, man. I was gonna take some notes, but even the poetry he's doing, and he's like calling her Sonu and all that. I was watching this movie. I threw up like 4 times in my mouth, and it was really bad. But the songs are good though. The songs are good, right?
Yeah.
Let me just crap all over it. But yeah, the songs are pretty good.
The songs are pretty good. So yeah. I mean, we have to talk a little bit about the title track, though, right? The brown leather jacket. Shahrukh's entry happens around 1 hour 32 of this long ass movie of 3 hours. So it's not even like how I remembered it. I thought the whole Rishi Divya Bharati plot was like 20 minutes long, 40 minutes long. But it's really like almost after the interval that the song with Shahrukh comes in. He brings the movie back alive, right? That brown leather jacket, that motorcycle, the driving, the dangerous stunts, totally unsafe to make a song like that. But it seems to be a kind of a thing in the 90s, right? Ajay Devgan was kind of doing the whole bike, brown leather jacket thing too. It was a look. I think it was a look in the 90s, and I think it appealed to a lot of people.
Like when you look back at it now, Mumbai traffic seems like a very sparse in comparison. Everything is empty, and there are far lesser people.
Yeah.
That's what I actually noticed. Like, this was one of the last few movies to be shot in Mumbai, like out in the open like that. Mm-hmm. Until like Gulshan Kumar got murdered, and then after that they just stopped shooting, I think, like that. But it's kind of old school, really, to see them shooting like that out in Mumbai. I think The Lash was like the next movie that I can remember doing it like that, right?
They had some scenes in like Wake Up Sid or what's Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So how do you feel about Shahrukh's kind of stalker role? Because I remember like when Shahrukh was doing this kind of Dar Deewana thing, it was something a lot of young guys were kind of emulating, this kind of body mutilation stalker kind of. I almost feel that this raised the generation of stalkers almost. What do you think, Amrita?
I think it's 50 of one, like, half of the other. I think the reason why that character made such a big impact is because we already knew people like that in our real lives. I knew, like, even my generation, like, I knew this guy who was like 2 years older than me, and he basically wooed his girlfriend by writing her a letter dipped in his blood.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's like completely over the top and like gross. But that was what people thought was like romantic. And it, like, that Shahrukh character just like, it just sort of, it's like the logical extension of like a lot of things that Hindi cinema was doing. Like the whole like I'll just follow and annoy this girl until she, falls in love with me. Yeah, that's the thing that Hindi cinema has been doing for a really long time. But Shahrukh just took it like to the next extent. But also like it only works because it's Shahrukh.
Yeah.
Like if you put Amir in the way Yash Chopra wanted to, I don't think anybody falls in love with that character the way everyone fell in love with Shahrukh in Dar.
Yeah. No, definitely. And even like the kind of anti-hero thing that he did, like in Bazigar, I don't think anybody else could have done what he did in Bazigar and still have kind of the sympathy of the audience. He actually murders a woman, right? And a kind of sweet character that everybody seems to be thinking is kind of the main heroine of the movie, and he flat out kills her. Even his treatment of Madhuri or Juhi Chawla in Ram Jaane and Anjam is pretty terrible. But because it's Shahrukh, he still is able to bring the audience on his side, which is, I don't know what it is. Is it just his talent? Is it he's such a good actor? Is it that he's so likable? Because he definitely didn't have as much credit with the audience at that time, right? He's a newcomer. Nobody knows him. And there's not been a tradition cinematically of this kind of behavior. So, yeah, it just kind of leaves why Shahrukh is Shahrukh, that he manages to do that, I imagine.
Yeah, it takes certain kind of balls to be like, yep, I'm going to do this like anti-hero. I'm not going to be fluffy. I'm going to stalk the fuck out of this girl and write her name in blood on my chest. And people are going to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the other scene with Shahrukh, the big scene where he's pretty much doing Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon and knocking his shoulder and like admitting to his friends that he's fallen in love or something like that? I wrote down another line that his friend says. There's two lines actually, weirdly. They say, "Tujhe ishq ho gaya hai. Zindagi ko khuda hafiz kar de."
I don't remember this, to be honest. So probably I just erased it from my memory.
I wrote this down. I was like, what? Tujhe ishq ho gaya hai. Like, what is the big deal? But secondly, he's the friends, which again, what they are as a gang, I don't understand it because they open a garage really quickly, but they also are involved in some kind of tomfoolery, it seems like, because they say, it's holy, and they basically say, utha lenge, mauka bhi hai, dastoor bhi hai. I was like, is there a dastoor of, like, kidnapping women in Holi? Like, is this, like, what is this?
I would just like to say on behalf of all Indians that no, there is no dastoor. There might be mauka, but there is definitely no dastoor.
Like, a lot of shit goes down during Holi as per Bollywood cinema. Like,
yeah, chhed-chhad happens, but there's no kidnapping.
There's no Amrish Puri kidnapping and making somebody a sex slave for 30 years, right? That doesn't happen in Holi, just to clarify things.
No.
It's Radha and Krishna, but like Krishna like kidnaps Radha and takes her. Like what?
So what did you kind of think? Did you have, like, cause I remember very vividly, I think it was in the big Aapki Adalat interview, and that was kind of the first big Shahrukh interview that I remember, where he kind of said he was trying to emulate Mel Gibson in that scene. Did that connect ever happen with you guys, or it was just like you just Sujoy just blanked it out, Amrita?
Yeah.
Like I literally had no idea what the hell you were talking about.
Oh, really?
Mel Gibson, I was like, what?
Yeah. In Lethal Weapon, he dislocates his shoulder. Mel Gibson, like that's a thing that happens in Lethal Weapon, and he just kind of hits it on the wall, and it kind of snaps back in. So Shahrukh took that over, and that's how he said. So basically, falling in love is kind of putting back in your dislocated shoulder.
Wow. So much deep.
Very deep, very deep.
All of this is just making me look forward to the Rambo remake.
So,
There is a particular detail that I want to discuss about how this movie ends.
Yes.
So like all great movies in Bollywood, this ends in a warehouse where there is a big fight between the villains, and then somehow Amrish Puri, who is so famous for kidnapping women, kidnaps Divya Bharti.
By the way, can I just say, it's in a factory or in a warehouse, and when everybody comes in, Amrish Puri is sitting in a gazebo in the factory. There's a gazebo in the factory, and that's where his secret lair within the lair is. I just want to clarify this.
and then Divya Bharti's got some sort of a time bomb tied across her chest. And then Shahrukh Khan is fighting the other goons, and then it's Rishi Kapoor's turn to be the sacrificial lover, and then so he disables the bomb, and then somehow Amrish Puri is killed off, but he comes back alive, tries to get back at everyone, and then Rishi Kapoor's like, yeah, the only way out is if I die with this motherfucker, and then he switches on the bomb, and then they hug, and then Rishi Kapoor and Amrish Puri explode together. It's very romantic in a way. That's how it ends. It's very dark.
But it was kind of also probably the only way that Shahrukh and Divya Bharti's marriage would work, right? In that context of the social mores at that time, that he had to die, right? It could not be that he gets to live and she just married some other dude. That would be...
Yeah, I mean, Divya Bharti obviously does not have a choice or any say in this matter. I mean, the only way that she can live happily is for that old uncle to die.
Just a general question. As Kajal, do you feel that she was ever in love with either of these guys? If she had a choice, who would she end up with, do you think?
I think initially she was in love with Rishi, or maybe that was just fandom, but I mean, she was definitely infatuated by this pop star presence in her life, and she was, I don't know, she kind of started loving or caring for this new guy because, I don't know, she's married and and then he meets an accident, but...
What do you think, Amrita? Was she ever in love with either of these guys?
Well, I don't think it's convincing in either case, but then, I mean, it does seem like after Shahrukh has this little accident, it does seem like they're very happy, wink wink.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna guess that she actually did because time is a weird concept in this film. I don't really know how much time she spent with each one of them. With Rishi, it kind of seemed like they got they met and they got married within a week. So, and then he died. So I don't.
And you don't even know how long he was in that fisherman village, wherever the hell he was.
Right? Yeah. So I feel like she spent a lot more time with Shahrukh than she did with Rishi. And they definitely seem very affectionate and an old married couple by the time Rishi shows up in their life again, and it's hey, look, I'm back.
Yeah. I bet it's such a big upgrade from Rishi to Shahrukh. Even Rishi's mother is I'll forget about this guy. This is my son now. I just got upgraded.
That obsolete model can go now.
That old sweater wearing model, I'm done. The other funny thing that I also noticed in all of these three debuts is that all the women speak in a very hum kind of way. When they talk about themselves, they always use the hum form instead of meh form, which was just something weird that I don't know A, why that is, but B, it seems to be Bhagyashree did it, Juhi did it, and Divya does the same thing. Which is just kind of a thing I noticed in the three W's.
What I noticed was the baby voice.
Yeah.
All three of them have a major baby voice. Juhi kind of kept it all the way through. Bhagyashree, of course, her career kind of ended, and then Divya Bharti died. But I think the reason why they had the baby voice was because Sridevi could sometimes do it. Like she would sometimes put one on, except with Shri, I never thought of Shri as having a baby voice, because she was just Shri and she just had like such personality that it didn't matter. Like she could talk in like whatever she wanted to speak as. But with these three women, like it was really, really obvious, like how infantile, how they were so baby.
Coy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah, no, it's a weird one. So like, because this is the third and the final debut episode we're doing, were there any similarities between these three debut movies that you found, or something that was completely different between the three Khans in a way? Because I feel Shah Rukh stands out, like in terms of movie at least, and also in terms of just talent. I think he's the one that's the most accomplished actor out of the three of them. What do you think, Amrita?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think Salman and Amir made conventional debuts, and they're very good in their debuts, and they're it's almost like they're like two little puppies, and they've just like come out into the world, and they're like, yay, we're here and we're going to do all these things, and they're like they're very sweet. Shah Rukh is anything but sweet in his debut. Even when he's trying to be very endearing with Sushma Seth, I don't really find him endearing. Like I find him like very Shah Rukh-y. But I wouldn't think of him as like a chocolate hero. That's not the vibe at all.
Yeah. So there were quite a few movies kind of came out, and it's funny, in 92, even like Salman and Amir's career were kind of going full force already. Like Amir was doing Parampara at that time, which was kind of a huge, massive deal, right? Which was also Saif Ali Khan's
Raj movie,
and it was Saif Ali Khan's debut, and they don't do these kind of mythical family movies where, there's tons of actors and stuff like that, but they used to do a lot of these back in the 90s, Kshatriya I'm thinking about. Ranja had come out and flopped really badly too. I'm just kind of going through some of the other movies. Salman Khan was doing Jagruti, which was one of my favorite at that time, which is a terrible movie. I love that movie. Ajay Devgan was going full force. He had Jigar, which was also kind of along the line of Jagruti, kind of the same themes, I would say. It's an interesting year. Khiladi, Akshay was kind of Akshay's big break on the screen too, right?
Yeah. I think he had done other movies before that.
Yeah, he had, but that was
Khiladi was like Akshay's Bazigar.
Yeah, exactly. Khuda Gawah came out. That was good, right? Yeah.
I loved that movie when it came out.
Yeah, me too. I love that. I still love it. I recently rewatched it. It's on Netflix. It's still pretty good. Actually, I can. So Roja, lots of things. So Rahman. So the Bollywood that we know now was kind of taking shape in 92, right? Which is just kind of funny to think about. So yeah. Let's wrap up Deewana. Where are you guys on our 3 meters? So be it the nostalgia meter, the fandom meter, and is it still good as a movie? Amrita, maybe you can go first.
If it's still good as a movie, well, it was never good as a movie to begin with. Yeah. So that would be a no. In terms of nostalgia, I would say like maybe like it was like a 5 on 10. There were like certain things about it that I remembered, and it's like, oh yeah, this was like what it was like when in 92 when I was a kid. So yeah, I'd give it like a 5 on 10. From a fandom perspective, again, like if you're a completist, if you are just trying to see every single movie that Shah Rukh has done, and if you just want to see like what it was that made Shah Rukh the star that he became, then yes, Deewana's a good text to look into. But as far as the movie goes, like even if you were a Shah Rukh fan, I would give it like maybe like a 2 or something.
Yeah. Sujoy?
Nostalgia, yes, because it's got some fabulous songs from the 90s that I associate with like auto rickshaw walas and all that. And it's got like Shah Rukh's room has got like fucking Tom Cruise poster from Cocktail and Rocky 4 and all that. What else? Fandom? Not really. I don't think any Shah Rukh fan would be keen enough to rewatch it. And it's not a great movie at all.
Yeah. I thought this was a terrible movie. It's the worst out of the three. I hated sitting through it. But yeah, we do things for the Khandaan podcast that we just kind of put up on ourselves and then we have to suffer through it. But so this was a movie I suffered through. Nostalgia wise, it's like Sujoy said, I think definitely the music and Divya Bharti. Those are the two reasons kind of my nostalgia meter goes slightly higher. The movie, the soundtrack is not necessarily a classic that you would need to listen to now, but when you rewatch it, I was like, I remember people singing and liking those songs. And then also just Divya Bharti she had such a kind of, astronomical career, like such a quick rise, and it fizzled out. It is one of her movies that actually did work at the box office. She's done a few bad ones too, but this was one that actually did work. So I think for that reason, it kind of works for the nostalgia part. Fandom wise, I think it's an interesting because it's that proto-stalker role that Shah Rukh did for the first third of his career. And it's kind of the first iteration of that. And, he's also the major reason to watch this movie, to be honest. So, I mean, if you're not going to watch it for Shah Rukh, just don't watch it, So that's where we kind of stand on the fandom level. Yeah, I think, we can wrap this up. I think, so this was the end of the debut episodes. So these were the 3 episodes where we wanted to talk about the debuts of Amir Khan, Salman Khan, and Shah Rukh Khan. From next episode onwards, we're going to be picking a random year, and then we will let you, the listeners, decide which of the movies that came out that year of the Khans you want us to review on the next podcast. So we picked out 2001, and 2001 has Ahsoka coming out from Shah Rukh, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham. Amir had Dil Chahta Hai and Lagan, and Salman Khan had Chori Chori Chupke Chupke. So yeah, we'll let you guys decide. We'll post a poll on the Facebook page, and we'll put it on Twitter and try to incorporate it on the website. I don't know exactly if I can do that quickly, but put your votes in or drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com.
So that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. Subscribe to us, leave us a review, share with your friends. We're still a new podcast, so it would be great to kind of spread the word if you like this. Amrita, where can people find more of you online?
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ.
I'm on Twitter at @93K.
Great. And I'm at Asim Bernie. You can follow us at YouPodcasting, or you can drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll be we'll be back very soon with a new episode.